The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Henderson, Nevada, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32871. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your vehicle with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start at the front bumper. On the bumper extension, you'll find a side-facing emergency warning light. As we move around to the face of the bumper, on the passenger and driver's side, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker system. Moving just inward of that location, you'll find dual air horns. As we move up onto the top of the bumper, you'll find on the passenger side your bell. You'll also find in the bumper 2 storage locations which have D handles to gain access. Moving out to the outer edge, driver's side, you'll find your mechanical siren. Directly in the center, you'll find your hose storage location for your front bumper discharge. Let's move up under the Pierce logo. This is where you're going to find the hood release to gain access into the hood space. Here's a close-up of that drop down. You can see engine 81, the 2 latches on the right and left. This gains access to the upper portion also, which also lifts open, and you have a 1.5 inch discharge located in this side. You'll also find these are the tubbed storage locations on the passenger and driver side front bumper extension. Just as you reach your hand behind the Pierce logo, you'll find the latch which will gain access to the hood. As we look to the side of the vehicle here, we'll find a turn indicator and also a marker light combination. And inside the headlight cluster, low and high beam, on the inside will be the high beam. As we move upward, we'll find 2 emergency warning lights. Let's move all the way up to the top of the windshield area where you'll find 5 running lights. You'll also have a center-mounted forward-facing floodlight. And as we move all the way up to the top onto the roof, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. And directly in the center of that light bar is where you'll find your Opticom system. Let's move around now to the driver's side. Just behind the driver's door, you'll find 2 auto eject plug. First, battery charger shore inlet, 20 amp, and then also a crew cab AC shoreline inlet, 20 amp AC. On the side window, you'll find your auto charging status system. When you're plugged into shore power, this will activate. Let's start first by identifying some warning labels here. First, this warning label regarding entanglement. Also moving to the right, you should not ride on the side of your vehicle or anywhere on the apparatus. That's what this warning label is for. And that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment after the use of the owner's manual and proper training. You'll also find a pressure hazard for pressurized caps and the associated hazards while removing those caps under pressure. And then also a foam failure warning regarding not mixing different brands and consistencies of foam. As we move back up to the top, you'll find the pump intake, master gauge, and then in between that you'll find the vacuum and pressure. These are your test gauge ports. And as we move to the right, you'll find your pump discharge. Let's move to the left to the red module. This is going to be your Husky foam system. These are the instructions on the left-hand side. The red module is the actual foam module. And then on the right, you'll find your foam A level indicator. Let's move just to the right of this location, starting first with your transmission temperature and also pump hours. These are the 2 gauges just on the outer edge. As we move just inside the gray area, we're referring to the Engine Information Center. Let's go over some of the items within this area. First, there are 4 gauges around the outside of this cluster: oil, volts, water, and fuel. As we move just inside that cluster, we'll find some identifying indicators. First on the left, your oil pressure, illuminating red if indicated. You also have a red indicator for stop engine, and then also a red indicator if you have low battery. Let's jump to the other side. Directly in the center, you'll find in amber a check transmission if illuminated. And then we'll move to the right. This will be in red also. You have a water temperature that's elevated. This will alarm and give you this signal. Just down below, you'll find 2 amber. First, the check engine,
which prompts you to do some information checking. And then just below that, you'll find an additional amber indicator regarding low fuel. Down at the very base in the gray area, you'll find this black level indicator. This is an audible alarm, and around the outer edge of the bezel does allow you to adjust the volume control. Move back up to the center, that's your tachometer. Let's move further over to the pump boss. This is your pressure throttle governor. If illuminated, the check engine light would be yellow. In the center, you'll find a digital readout for the tachometer or RPMs. And further to the right, you'll find, if illuminated, red, a stop engine. Let's move now to the menu button. This will allow you to scroll through the various menus within your pump boss. In between, you'll find all of your diagnostic engine information. Moving further to the right, you'll find a red silence button. This is if your audible alarm is silent. If your audible alarm is sounding, this will allow you to silence it. Moving down, you have two modes, either pressure mode or throttle mode, which is RPM. You do have a digital readout that will contain the menu information directly in the center. And then to the far right, you'll find a green indicator regarding throttle ready and to go ahead and engage the throttle. You also have the ability to program presets. That's the green button. As we move further down, you'll find the throttle increase or decrease right to left, and then you'll have an idle button directly in the center to push for idle. Let's move further to the right side of this pump boss, where you'll find a set of switches. First, with your panel light, if your pump is properly engaged, you'll have a green indicator. You have a red air horn, and then also two future spare locations. Up on the right hand side, you'll find the recirculating line. That is a turn, not a pull. And then as we move down, you'll find your engine cooler. Same thing, turn, not a pull. Let's move down to the left. We'll find some discharges here. First, this is your front discharge, water and foam capable, clearly indicated by color and also text. As you'll also find the green large diameter passenger side discharge. Just to the right, you'll find the minimum maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi, and we'll talk about that in a moment. You also have the ability to total the amount of flow. That's the button on the small section below the indicator. Driver's side 2.5 inch number 1 discharge. All the way to the right, this is your water tank level indicator in blue. Gives you an indication of what your water level is. To the right, you have a tank fill and also a tank to pump. And then just below the tank to pump, you'll find a connection port here for an external plug location for your tachometer. Move all the way to the left, we have an additional pan door. We can gain access behind the panel. And then you have your driver's side 2.5 inch auxiliary inlet. We also have a variety of drains located here and air supply. We'll cover those in just a minute when we have a close-up. In the very center, you'll find your large diameter pump intake. Let's move back up to the placker. This is going to be a test gauge pressures for 150, 200, and 250 psi. Associated GPM would be on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side would be the associated tachometer reading at those test pressures. You also have your job number in the upper left-hand corner. A couple of close-ups here. Let's now move downward. Let's talk a little bit about what's behind the pan door, where you're going to find this foam valve for horizontal foam operations, and also instructions on how to fill, move to the vertical position. As we move further down, I just want to mention this again. This is a foam failure hazard. Make sure that you don't mix different brands, consistencies, or foam types. Down the lower section, you'll find your draft foam tank inlet and also lever. As we mentioned earlier, you have your air supply and air outlet, and then all your associated drains. Here's a few close-ups of those images that we just talked about. Moving just inside the other pan doors, where you'll find your foam drain. That's a twist, not a pull. Looking down at the very bottom, you'll find additional hose storage within the step area or the step well. And then underneath this area, you'll find your master drain. Once again, a twist, not a pull. Moving further to the right, you'll find your foam pump discharge drain and foam pump intake drain. Let's move up to the dunnage area, where you'll find your hydraulic reservoir and also foam pump for your Husky foam system. To the left-hand side, you'll find your large diameter discharge, and in the grate just behind, you'll find your generator, which we'll go over in a few moments too. Here's some close-ups of those items that we just talked about. Foam hydraulic oil reservoir. You can see clearly the generator here with top access and ventilation on each side. As we move to the cab, I would like to point out a couple things. There are some warning labels here. This is not a walking surface. Be cautious if you choose to engage in that surface. That's why the warning labels are there. And directly in the center, you have your AC unit, which is 110 powered. Also in the dunnage, you'll find the blue water tank and also your green foam A tank. And once again, that warning not to mix consistencies. Let's go ahead and move down to the side of the apparatus. This is the cross lays. You have two cross lays located here. There is also a warning label here regarding the entanglement because of those hoses coming off in that area. Let's go ahead and move back to the compartment just aft of the pump panel. We'll talk about some of the items within this area. First, let's start at the very top. This is your generator, which is labeled continuous power supply. It's a 10 HD generator. To the right, you'll find your generator hours in this white module. You have a large power green on button that indicates power is operational. And then you also have a generator is running indicator. And at the very bottom, you'll find your generator start, stop, and preheat information. As we look through the gauges, there is a temperature gauge and also an oil gauge. And then just beneath that, you'll see the two black round. Those are two fuses for those individually sectioned areas. Let's move to the right where you'll see your S1 generator. This is the label for the G1 generator, which stands for generator. As we move to the left, you'll find the S1, which stands for shore power. Also in the same vicinity, you'll find when plugged into shore power, your auto charging system will activate. You also have some portable lamps located within the shelf area. As we move through some SCBA bottle storage locations. As we move just in front of the rear wheel, you'll find bottle storage location and also retaining straps. As we move further to the rear, you'll find this silver cap, which is your ultra low sulfur diesel. As you move the lever downward, which will expose the blue cap, which is your 4.5 US gallon DEF tank. Located directly in the center, you have a long shelf in addition with an emergency warning light. As we move to the rear compartment, you can see adjustable shelving, LED lighting, and also a pull-out shelf. The release is on the right-hand side bottom. General view of the rear of the apparatus. Let's cover some of the items within this area. First, starting with your brake lights, moving downward to your turn indicators. These are both LED. And then moving just inward of that location, the white light is going to be your backup light. You do have a variety of emergency lights here. Let's just point those out. You have some down low, and then you also have some in the upper locations. As we move to the rear section, you'll find your 2.5-inch rear discharge. Moving just inward of that location in the very center, you'll find your traffic advisor. Moving upward, you'll find a D handle, which you'll gain access where your ladder and backboard storage is located. I have some images of that. And then we also have two pan doors here. We'll talk about those, indicating number 7 and number 8. And then we have sufficient steps to go aloft to the top of your apparatus. As we move to the rear, also we'll find the hose bed lights and rear scene lights. They're in these cupped locations. Just upward of this location, we're going to find a 6-foot pike pole and a 10-foot pike pole and a 10-foot folding attic ladder. Move to the center compartment roll-up door. We're going to find an electrical cord reel. That electrical cord reel is 200 feet. It's a 20 amp, and there's also a reel rewind on the right, located in this location. Let's go back just above this location. Below the traffic advisor is where, above the traffic advisor, we're going to find your backup camera. You also have that D-handled lock location. This storage will house a additional ladder, and it looks to the left for backboard storage locations. Let's take a quick look at some close-ups of the identified areas. We have a 24-foot roof ladder extension. We have a 14-foot roofer, a 6 and a 10-foot pike pole. You also have some trash or rubbish hooks. General view of your apparatus from the rear and side. You can see side scene lights and emergency warning lights on the passenger side. This is going to be the rear compartment, adjustable shelving, LED lighting, and also dry deck material. You do have a 20 amp outlet here. This is based on your generator. And then moving forward of that location, we'll find bottle storage locations in addition with smaller like oxygen bottle storage. Same thing in the front area. This is just front of the rear wheel, bottle storage and retaining straps. As we move to the very center area, emergency warning light, compartment, dry deck material, adjustable shelf, LED lighting. In the roof, you'll find a shoreline outlet generated power. This is 20 amp. And as we move further down, you'll find the dry deck material and also those flashlights mounted. Let's move straight down to the next section, which I'd like to talk about. This is your exhaust. You do have two exhaust ports. One, your engine exhaust from your main engine, and then also your generator exhaust. They're both ported on this side. There is a warning label here also regarding extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures, and be cautious as to where you park your vehicle. Let's move forward to this location to the 2.5-inch discharge on the passenger side. As we move downward, we'll find a pressure warning hazard. This is when pressurized caps are opened without being relieved properly. That's what that warning label is for. You also have a large diameter discharge. You have two pan doors in this location, which we'll talk about when we open or get into those doors. And then also your large diameter pump intake. And then at the very bottom, all of your associated color-coded and labeled drains. Back up to the top, this is the number 2 discharge passenger side and your large diameter green discharge. Here's a close-up of the associated drains, color-coded and also labeled. As we look inside the very top access that gains access behind the pump panel, as we move to the other, you do have a pump compartment light that can illuminate the area within the pump panel. We're now into the cab area. At all points of entry, we have warning labels. Please familiarize yourself with those before operation. Located in the center, you'll find your access location for daily checks for oil and transmission. The cab is situated with a large EMS compartment, roll-up doors on both passenger and driver side, LED lighting inside, also adjustable shelves, and also shore power and generated power at the very top. There are 2 fold-down seats on each side, passenger and driver side, with access with your David Clark headset system. Let's move to the front. This is going to be just over your daily checks, additional storage location. This is over the passenger and driver side, additional storage locations. You also have compartment lights within those. As we move to the very top section, you'll find also this is a 12-volt access. David Clark headset system. This is on the driver's side. As we move through some of those compartments, we'll move now to the passenger side. This is going to be officer seat, and we'll discuss some of the items here. First, starting with a point of entry. So we have these set of warning labels. You also have an access panel here, which has a tremendous amount of electrical components here. And then just above that, you'll find the bell or rope for your front bell system. As we move to the dash, you'll find your docking system for your computer. And then just to the left of this location, we're going to find 12-volt access. We have barrel style and also 2 USB style. As we move all the way to the very front, you'll find your vehicle data recorder port. Let's go ahead and move now just to the rear. Behind the 2 front seats, you'll find Maglite flashlights. As we move to the front, this is over the officer head. You'll find the Motorola radio system. You'll also find a Jensen stereo system. And as we move further to the right, you're going to find this directly in the center. Difficult to see in this image, but this module is your seatbelt monitoring system. Red indicating someone's in the seat and not belted. Green indicating that they're in the seat and belted properly. Just below that, you'll find a do not move your apparatus. If that is illuminated, you have a compartment door or a door ajar. Back to the driver's area. First, let's start on the left, points of entry. So we have those warning labels. We also have seat belts that are colored in red for easy, accessible identifying if people have them on. And then down to about the right knee area, you'll find your manufactured by Pierce logo and also some warning labels. As we move just under the seat area on the exterior side of the door, you'll find your air inlet. And just on the floorboard, you'll find your air horn and also mechanical siren foot pedals. Let's look about left knee of the operator. You'll find your tech module. This is a plug-in location. You also have your engine, transmission, and ABS diagnostic port. and also to the right you'll find your display port. Beneath that you'll find 3 switches, first starting with your ABS diagnostics, regen inhibit, and also DPF regen. Let's move back now to about the right ankle of the operator. We're going to find this yellow placard. This is the manufactured for the city of Henderson on February of 2019. It has the job number. It also has your gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, your VIN number, all of your fluid capacities for each of the components, and also fluid types. Let's move upward into the dash area. Just a quick view here. On the left you'll find your master battery switch in red. And then as we move to the top section, you'll find your hazard lights, the start switch, and then the ignition switch. To the right, you'll find an EM switch, which stands for Emergency Master, controls all of your emergency lights, headlights and parking lights, and then to the right, a panel switch, which controls bright and dim on the actual panel. All the way to the opposite side of the steering column is where you're going to find the OK to engage your high idle switch. On the dash, we're going to talk about your transmission oil, DEF level, and water temperature. Directly in the center, you'll have a tachometer, speedometer. To the right, you're going to find your voltage, fuel level, front and rear air, and then information for diagnostic purposes above and below the 2 large gauges, tach and speedometer. General view of the dash area as we look to the left, this is your parking brake. This is your pull to apply system parking brake and push to release. Located in the center is your Pierce command zone, a tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see your owner's manual for more information. To the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad. Here's a close-up of that command center. And once again, on the Allison transmission pad, it is a pump-in drive. This is a digital readout. Let's move to the right where we have a set of switches. First starting with the radio on-off switch. You also have future locations at the top. Front flood, driver's side flood, passenger side flood, and also a 120 manual transfer. Just beneath that, you're going to have an engine brake settings for low, medium, and high, an engine brake on and off, off-road traction, mirror heat, your start-stop on your generator, and an indicator that your generator is running. At the very top, this is going to be your mirror control for flat and convex. That's the adjustments. Just beneath that, this is your traffic advisor at the rear. And then just beneath that, you're going to find your pump shift from road to pump or from pump to road. For pump positions, you need 2 green indicators prior to exiting the cab for pump operations. Here's a close-up of those controls for your mirrors. You do have climate control for heating and air conditioning. This is for your 12-volt system. As we look to the very top, I would like to point out to the far left-hand side, you'll find this yellow placard. This is the height, 10 feet 4 inches, length 33 feet, 0.62 inches, and a gross vehicle weight rating of 48,500 pounds. If you make any adjustments to your apparatus, please update this placard for your viewers' driving specifics. To the right, you're going to find Emergency Master, roof light, front warning light, side warning light, lower rear warning, upper rear warning, high beam flash, and your Opticom. When any of these are pushed, they will illuminate around the outer edges green. As we move to the right, we'll see a demonstration. You can see the perimeter light and load manager are actually active. In this module, you'll find your electronic siren, perimeter lights, rear scene, your load manager, and also your siren brake. Let's move just down from this position. This is your siren and also PA control system. I'd also like to point out once again that do not move your apparatus. This is a LED light will be blinking and indicating not to move your apparatus. You do have on both sides push on and off red and white lights, and then also your stereo system speakers. Congratulations, Henderson, Nevada, on your new fire apparatus, job number 32871. If you have any questions as to the content of this video or any future questions about your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire Sales Representative. Thank you and congratulations.